The funeral was 3 days ago. Now came the hard part. Dividing grandmother's things. The house, the jewelry, the furniture, the savings. Everyone wanted something. Rosa sat in the corner of her grandmother's living room, watching her family argue. Aunts and uncles, cousins, all fighting over who deserved what. Who grandmother loved more. Who visited more often. Who sacrificed more. Rosa was 29 years old, the youngest grandchild. She had been closest to her grandmother, Maria Elena Vasquez, 91 years old when she died. Sharp until the end, full of stories, full of love, full of secrets Rosa was only beginning to understand. The lawyer cleared his throat. Perhaps we should go room by room. Make lists. Divide things fairly. Fair. Rosa almost laughed. There was nothing fair about this. Her grandmother had spent 91 years building a life. And now it was being picked apart like a carcass. Everyone wanting the valuable pieces. The house in a good neighborhood. The antique furniture. The jewelry passed down through generations. Rosa did not want any of it. When it was her turn to speak, everyone looked at her, expecting her to fight for something. The china perhaps, or the silver, or a share of the house. I only want one thing, Rosa said quietly. The room went silent, suspicious. The recipe box. People blinked. The recipe box? In the kitchen, the wooden one, with grandmother's recipes. That is all I want. Her Aunt Maria scoffed. That old thing? It is worthless. Just index cards with food stains. It is what I want, Rosa said firmly. Her uncle Carlos shrugged. Let her have it. More for the rest of us. And just like that, Rosa's inheritance was decided. While her family continued to argue over real estate and jewelry, she walked to the kitchen. Found the wooden box on the counter where it had always been. Picked it up, held it close. It was small. Maybe 8 inches long, worn wood, a simple latch. Inside, dozens of index cards. Some yellowed with age, some splattered with ingredients, all written in her grandmother's careful handwriting. Recipes for tamales, enchiladas, mole, arroz con pollo. The dishes Rosa had grown up eating. The tastes of her childhood. Rosa took the box home, placed it on her kitchen counter. That night, she could not sleep. She kept thinking about her grandmother. About the stories she had told. About the secrets she had hinted at but never fully revealed. The next morning, Rosa made coffee. Sat at her table. Opened the recipe box. Began reading through the cards. One by one. The first few were normal. Recipes. Ingredients. Instructions. But then Rosa noticed something. On the back of some cards, there was more writing. Not recipes. Something else. She pulled out a card for her grandmother's famous tamales. Flipped it over. And froze. In tiny, careful handwriting, her grandmother had written, I learned this recipe from my mother. In our village in Mexico. Before the soldiers came. Before everything changed. Before I lost her. Rosa's hands trembled. She pulled out another card. Churros. Flipped it over. I made these for the first time in Texas, 1956. My first year in America. I was alone, scared, missing everything, but the smell of cinnamon reminded me of home. Reminded me I was still alive. Rosa felt tears streaming down her face. She pulled out more cards. Each one had writing on the back. Stories, memories, confessions. Her grandmother had hidden her entire life story in her recipe box. One recipe at a time. Rosa spent the entire day reading. And with each card, she discovered a grandmother she had never fully known. A woman with secrets, with pain, with a history that explained everything. The recipe cards told a story. One Rosa had never heard. One her grandmother had never spoken aloud. Maria Elena had been born in 1933. In a small village in Mexico. Her father was a farmer. Her mother was known throughout the region for her cooking. Their home was modest but happy. Full of food, full of love, full of music. Then the revolution came. Not the famous one. A smaller conflict. Local violence. When Maria Elena was 12, soldiers raided their village. Her father was killed. Her mother died trying to protect them. Maria Elena and her younger brother fled. Orphans. Alone. 12 and 8 years old. Rosa found this story on the back of a recipe for her grandmother's mole. The dish her mother made the night before she died. I have never told anyone this. Not even my husband. The pain was too deep. But these recipes carry her spirit. Every time I cook them, she is with me again. Rosa could barely breathe. She had never known. None of them had known. The cards continued. Maria Elena and her brother had walked north. For months. Begging, working, surviving. They crossed into Texas in 1946. Undocumented, terrified, but alive. On the back of a recipe for tortillas. The first American woman who showed me kindness was Mrs. Johnson. She found us hiding in her barn. Starving. She could have reported us. Instead, she fed us. Taught me to make tortillas the Texas way. Gave us hope. Maria Elena had worked in fields. In kitchens. As a maid. Any job she could find. Her brother was deported when she was 19. She never saw him again. She wrote about this on the back of a recipe for pozole, Roberto's favorite. I made it every year on his birthday. Even though I did not know if he was alive or dead. Hoping somehow he could taste my love across the distance. Rosa was sobbing now. Her grandmother had carried these burdens alone. For decades. Never sharing. Never complaining. Just cooking. Pouring her grief and love into food. Then Maria Elena met a man. American. Kind. Named Thomas. He did not care about her past. Her status. Her secrets. He saw only her. Loved only her. On the back of a recipe for wedding cake. Thomas asked me to marry him with flour on my hands. I was making bread. He said I was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. I did not believe him. But I said yes anyway. Best decision I ever made. They married in 1958. Had 3 children. Maria Elena became a citizen in 1965. She never spoke of her past. Not to her husband. Not to her children. Not to anyone. The pain was too deep. The shame too heavy. Why shame? Rosa wondered. Then she found the answer. On the back of a recipe for empanadas. I was ashamed because I survived. My parents died. My brother was taken. But I lived. I made a good life. Had children. Grandchildren. How could I be happy when they could not? How could I enjoy this life built on their bones? Rosa understood now. Survivor's guilt. Her grandmother had carried it for 80 years. Hiding it in plain sight. In a recipe box everyone dismissed as worthless. But Maria Elena had found a way to cope. To honor. To remember. Through food. Every recipe was a memorial. Every dish was a prayer. Every meal was an act of love stretching back generations. On the back of a recipe for flan. My mother taught me this. Her mother taught her, and her mother before that. When I make flan, I am not alone. I am part of a chain stretching back centuries. I am not the last one. I am a link, and as long as someone makes these recipes, none of us truly die. Rosa knew what she had to do. Rosa called her family. All of them. The aunts and uncles still arguing over the estate. The cousins who had not spoken in years. Everyone. I am hosting a dinner. At my apartment. Sunday. Please come. It is important. People were suspicious. Rosa never hosted anything. She was the quiet one. The one who stayed in corners. But something in her voice made them agree. Rosa spent the entire week cooking. Every recipe in the box. One by one, she made tamales, enchiladas, mole, pozole, arroz con pollo, churros, flan, every dish her grandmother had ever made. Every flavor she remembered from childhood. Her small apartment smelled like her grandmother's kitchen. Like love, like memory, like home. Sunday arrived. Her family came. Awkward, tense, still carrying grudges from the estate battle. They sat around Rosa's table. Cramped but together. Rosa stood. Thank you for coming. I know things have been difficult. I know we have been fighting. But I asked you here because I learned something. About grandmother. Something none of us knew. She held up the recipe box. You all thought this was worthless. Just old recipes. Stained cards. Nothing valuable. But you were wrong. This box contains grandmother's entire life story. Hidden on the backs of these cards. People looked confused, skeptical. Rosa began reading. She read about the village in Mexico. The soldiers. The death of their great-grandparents. The journey north. The years of struggle. The brother lost to deportation. The silence. The shame. The survivor's guilt. The room was silent. People crying. People who had never heard any of this. Rosa continued. She read about meeting Thomas. About becoming a citizen. About raising children while carrying invisible wounds. About using cooking as therapy. As prayer. As connection to the dead. When she finished, no one could speak. Finally, Rosa's Aunt Maria, the one who had called the box worthless, stood up. Her face wet with tears. I never knew. Mama never told us. I thought she was just a simple woman. A cook. A grandmother. I never knew she was a hero. She was not trying to be a hero, Rosa said softly. She was trying to survive. And she did. And she gave us life. All of us. We are here because she walked across a country at 12 years old. Because she never gave up. Because she found love and made a family. We are her legacy. Rosa gestured to the food covering every surface of her small kitchen. And these recipes are her gift. Her way of keeping her family alive. Her mother. Her father. Her brother. Every person she lost. They live on in these dishes. Every time we make them, we bring them back. The family ate together that night. For the first time in years, no one argued. They shared stories. Memories of grandmother. Meals she had made. Lessons she had taught. The love she had shown without ever revealing the pain beneath. Rosa's uncle Carlos, who had dismissed the recipe box as worthless, approached her after dinner. I was wrong. That box is the most valuable thing in the estate. And it belongs with you. The one who understood. It belongs with all of us, Rosa said. I am going to make copies. Every card, front and back, so everyone has grandmother's story. So no one forgets. The family gathered around the recipe box. Passing cards. Reading stories. Crying and laughing. Finally understanding the woman who had loved them all. The woman who had hidden her pain so they could have joy. The woman who had turned tragedy into tamales. Loss into love. Grief into gratitude. Rosa spent the next year working on a project. She photographed every recipe card. Transcribed every story. Researched her grandmother's journey. Found records. Old photos. Documentation of the path Maria Elena had walked. She compiled it all into a book. The Recipe Box. A Hidden Life in Food. Her grandmother's recipes. Her grandmother's story. Her grandmother's legacy. The family contributed. Aunts and uncles shared memories. Cousins provided photos. Even family still in Mexico. Relatives Rosa had never met, connected through the project. Sent pictures of the village. Stories of the grandparents Rosa had never known. The recipe book became a family history. A memorial. A celebration. And unexpectedly, a bestseller. Rosa had published it hoping to preserve the story for her family. But the book resonated far beyond. People everywhere connected to Maria Elena's journey. Immigrants who had similar stories. Families who communicated through food. People who had discovered hidden histories in unexpected places. The book was translated into Spanish. Then other languages. Rosa did interviews. Spoke at events. Shared her grandmother's message. That food is more than sustenance. It is memory. It is love. It is the thread connecting generations. The money from the book went to causes Maria Elena would have supported. Immigration assistance. Hunger relief. Scholarships for first-generation students. Rosa created a foundation in her grandmother's name. But the most meaningful result was simpler. Her family was together again. The estate battle forgotten. Replaced by shared purpose. Every Sunday, someone hosted dinner. They cooked Maria Elena's recipes, told her stories, kept her alive in the only way that mattered. Rosa's daughter was born a year after the book was published. Named Maria Elena, Little Mari for short. When Mari was old enough, Rosa began teaching her the recipes. Just as grandmother had taught Rosa, standing on a stool in the kitchen, hands in masa, learning through doing, through tasting, through love. One day, Mari asked, "Mama, why are we making tamales?" Rosa smiled, picked up the old recipe box, held it gently. "Because a long time ago, your great-great-grandmother taught your great-grandmother this recipe. And she taught me, and now I am teaching you. And someday, you will teach your children." "But why?" Mari persisted. "Because food is how we remember. Because these recipes hold the stories of people who loved us. People we never met, but who made us possible. When we cook their food, we bring them back. We tell them we remember. We tell them thank you. We tell them their lives mattered." Rosa opened the recipe box, showed Mari the cards, the yellowed paper, the stained edges, the careful handwriting, and the stories on the back. "This box," Rosa said, "is the most valuable thing I own. Not because of money, but because it holds our family, our history, our love, and now you are part of it too." Mari looked at the box with new eyes, seeing not just recipes, but bridges across time, connections to people she would never meet. Love preserved in flour and sugar and spice. "Can I add my own recipe someday?" Mari asked. Rosa felt tears in her eyes. "Of course. That is how it works. We inherit stories, then we add our own. That is what family means." They made tamales together that afternoon. Rosa and Mari, great-grandmother's recipe, made with great-grandmother's love, connecting 4 generations across a century. And somewhere, Rosa believed, Maria Elena was watching, smiling, finally understood, finally known, finally home. Because recipes do not just feed bodies. They feed souls. They carry love across death. They whisper stories in every bite. They remind us that we are not alone. That we come from somewhere. That we belong to someone. And in a simple wooden box, worn with time and love, an entire life waited. Ready to nourish anyone willing to look past the recipes and find the person who made them.